for roadmap. But without further ado, I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen and let's get into the Lifening supplements. All right. So in the creation of Lifening, and because we started as a skincare brand, we really looked at how the internal processes that your body does naturally every single day can directly reflect in your external aesthetics. How can you support your ultimate attainment of total body beauty, not only in the topicals you're applying, but ultimately in the supplements you're consuming as well? When we come to appreciate supplementation or various supplements that are on the market today, we are looking at the ways in which we can bring in nutrients to our body based on oral consumption. And so many things we consume, of course, not only influence our health, but also influence the perceived health of our skin. And when we discuss dietary supplements specifically, we're looking at vitamins, minerals, herbs, but things that tend to promote not only general wellness, general well-being, but also can fill in gaps in nutrition from your daily diet. And that's really important to note as well, because many supplements will address certain deficiencies, but these deficiencies are based, of course, on individuality. So one person might be deficient or completely not deficient. They have all the perfect nutrients that their body needs to otherwise thrive, versus another person can have a different deficiency. And so it's important to be in tune with your own body and what you consume on the daily based on the food intake you have, the supplements you already take, and where there are areas in which you can improve. And this is important to note because there are so many supplements in the market today, and you'll always have an influencer touting one supplement being the best or one that helped them lose 20 pounds. And it's attractive marketing, but at the same time, you have to address yourself and what your body needs ultimately to find the ultimate efficacy of a certain supplement. And so with that all in mind, supplements can come in many different forms: pills, powders, tablets, drinks, and they really do have an impact on a variety of biological pathways. Again, based within your current status in those pathways, what needs support and what already is functional. When we approach the specific appreciation of Remon supplements, not only are we looking at supplements that can easily coincide with your routine, regardless of your deficiencies or lack of deficiencies, which kind of sounds like a paradox, but we're looking at specific ways in which you can support your goal and your journey in your skin health and ultimately your total health. And for specifically leading into Deep Talk Plus, I want to take a bit longer to focus on an area in the body that it's really influencing, and that of course is the microbiome. Now, I've mentioned before that your skin has a robust microbiome, your scalp does as well, but your gut microbiome, is so important. So many things we consume can specifically interact, of course, with this gut microbiome, and it's comprised of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microbes that naturally exist within our intestines. And again, much like how we are born with our skin microbiome, it also begins to build up within your intestinal microbiome as we age, as we consume certain things, as we come into interaction with certain things in our environment. Your microbiome will evolve. And so there are upwards of 1,000 different species of bacteria alone in the human gut microbiome. And this biodiversity of this bacteria alongside the viruses and the fungi help us not only process food and get the nutrients we need from that food, but can also directly help us in a variety of daily statuses in regards to our mood, our skin health, and we'll go through all of that in more detail. But what's crucial, especially in the reference of Deep Talk Plus, is that your microbiome actually helps you digest fiber, but it also can control your immune system and, of course, helps with the health of your brain. And so that's what we're going to look at in a bit more depth before approaching Deep Talk in total. And of course, an imbalance in your bacteria, whether it be on your skin or in your gut, is known as dysbiosis. And dysbiosis can be detrimental for a variety of different reasons, but ultimately, when we're trying to achieve total body health, we want to ensure there is no potential for dysbiosis. But in the exploration of the connections of the gut microbiome within the body, we can first look at an extremely influential connection known as the gut-brain axis. This is a bidirectional communication pathway between your gut microbiome and the microbes existing within it and your brain. And the key note is that it is bidirectional. So not only does your brain communicate with these gut microbes, but it does so in reverse. That gut essentially communicates back to your brain. Emotional behaviors, stress, and even depression can depend on the proper function of your gut. And so when we look about it in a bit more detail, we're actually valuing now what's known as the enteric nervous system. So your gut has its own nervous system, and that's the enteric nervous system. Alterations in this bidirectional brain-gut microbiota interaction is actually believed to be involved in pathogenesis of well-known brain-gut disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome. So the existence of the gut-brain axis, the influence that the gut has on the brain and vice versa, has been seen in direct connection with specific dysbioses or specific diseases. With that all in mind, and within the concentration of the enteric nervous system, what's important to note is that your enteric nervous system controls a variety of neurotransmitters. These essentially are communication molecules. For instance, your ENS can actually produce and store around 90% of your total serotonin and 50% of your total dopamine. And if you may know, serotonin and dopamine, these are your happiness and your reward molecules. And so you want these to be at high relevance. You want it to continue to be produced to not only, of course, bring stability to your brain and to your mood or disposition, but to otherwise have a healthy and processing gut-brain axis. And so what's interesting, and I invite you to explore it in more detail if it is something that interests you, is that the intestinal microbiota and its metabolites, so essentially what that microbiota produces upon consuming carbon sources, have actually been shown to be involved in modulating GI function. This is largely in part due to their ability to intestinally permeate, so they can go through the intestinal lining, their mucosal immune function, so their role within the immunity of your mucosal membranes within your intestines, and your intestinal motility. So your intestines moving and being able to contract and relax to move stool through your system. And so directly we have seen the roles of your gut microbiota in these variety of ways in which your gut naturally should be working. And so it's fascinating to see the ways in which dysbiosis can present itself in your gut, or excuse me, in your brain rather, in terms of not only depression or anxiety, but also in sensations of actual pain. Not that I would want anyone to have pain, but it is fascinating in regards to that connection and how robust our systems are. Beyond the gut-brain axis and this connection between your gut microbiota and your brain, there is another bidirectional connection with our body that is relevant for our discussion today, and that is that of the gut-skin axis. Much like the gut-brain axis, the gut-skin axis is that bidirectional connection and communication between your gut microbiota and now your skin. What's interesting about this specific connection is we no longer have this enteric nervous system. There's not necessarily a nervous system unique to this connection, but instead we are looking at the ways in which specifically inflammatory metabolites are directly correlating within this gut-skin axis. So your gut-skin axis has been illuminated due to inflammatory diseases. And so that's how scientists had discovered that this direct connection existed. Essentially, what they saw is that specific individuals that had eczema and psoriasis, which is inflammation of the skin, also had coinciding inflammation within their gut. Important mediators beyond those inflammatory mediators are essentially all the metabolites that are produced by these microbiota. And so diet, lifestyle, and even your genetics can play a part in determining your gut health, your balance of microbiota, and then ultimately your skin health and lack of inflammatory mediators present. And so when we come to appreciate the gut microbiome, not only are we looking at its direct connection to the brain, but we're also considering its connection to the skin, especially as we are focused on healthy skin here at Remon. And so understanding the ways in which you can balance that gut microbiome to further promote not only healthy disposition, but your skin is crucial in having that well-rounded and holistic approach to self-care. And so, of course, many of the ways in which you can influence your gut microbiota are by consuming probiotics, by consuming foods that are beneficial to these bacteria. But one of the ways in which you also can support it is through prebiotics, and many different fiber sources specifically can be considered prebiotics. Now, fiber or dietary fiber is found naturally in fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes, and it's part of the plant foods that our body cannot naturally digest. And so that's where those microbiota really come into play, is that they help us digest and get nutrients from these fibers. Soluble fiber is fiber that dissolves in water and it creates that gel-like material. So, for example, the psyllium husk used in Deep Talk Plus is a soluble fiber versus insoluble. It otherwise promotes the movement of material through your digestive system, but itself, it does not dissolve, it does not interact with that water. So, traditionally, waste will pack around this fiber that is insoluble and will be moved and eventually excreted from this system. Now, fiber is something that is so important for daily consumption. So often, especially for those that perhaps are in the fitness industry like myself, you're so focused on your protein intake or making sure your carbs are low, your sugar low, but it's crucial that you ensure your fiber intake is intact. Not only does it help your skin in a variety of ways, but it helps many other systems in a variety of ways. And it can even be preventative care in simply consuming enough fiber daily. Some of the benefits of consuming enough fiber daily include, of course, normalizing those bowel movements, maintaining general gut health, but even lowering cholesterol levels, which is interesting for me when I look this up. So, soluble fiber actually interferes with the absorption of compounds called bile acids. And when these cannot be absorbed, the body will look towards actually cholesterol instead as a moment of absorption. And so this allows for actually lowering cholesterol levels, which is a fun fact. But fiber can also help you control your blood sugar levels, and they can even help in weight maintenance. And that's specifically in regards to fiber's ability to maintain satiety, that feeling of being full. A robust dinner or meal is really one that has enough fiber to keep you full and keep you digesting long after you have finished eating. And now, with all of that in mind, when we look towards Deep Talk specifically, we are looking at a prebiotic dietary fiber. So you can see here the various daily recommendations. Of course, this is going to be unique for an individual. These are very general based on women under and over 50, men under and over 50. But when we look at specifically prebiotic dietary fibers, these are fibers that function as a carbon source for the growth of beneficial taxa. Essentially, this acts as food for the good bacteria and the good fungi and viruses within our intestines so that they can continue to proliferate and continue to create those metabolites that are beneficial for our body. And this also is going to help them prevail over otherwise negative bacteria existing within our intestines. Specifically, bacteria ferment and metabolize our prebiotics. So they ferment and metabolize that fiber, and they create various byproducts, which themselves are beneficial to your gut health. When we look at the benefits of prebiotics specifically, we see similar alignment with the general benefits of consuming fiber, such as regulating bowel movements, but then we also see that encouraged production of neurotransmitters via the gut-brain axis, because one of those metabolites produced from the prebiotic fibers being consumed by the microbiota are those neurotransmitters. Furthermore, they stimulate hormone production that aids in appetite suppression, improves immune system, and can enhance anti-inflammatory response. And again, these are just a few of the many benefits of prebiotics, which are going to be individually perceived for each person based on your total consumption of fiber daily and your otherwise daily habits. And so, with that all in mind, to set us up perfectly for appreciating Deep Talk Plus, Deep Talk Plus is a prebiotic dietary soluble fiber mixture with a variety of other ingredients to support your microbiome. We specifically, of course, use psyllium husk, and typically psyllium is sold as a powder. With a product like Metamucil, for example, you'll add it to water, it becomes gelatinous, and you drink that gelatinous mix. In this instance, we have maintained the pellets in a compact form, and that natural gelatinization process that occurs with prebiotic dietary soluble fibers doesn't occur until these pellets have reached your intestines. As they begin to absorb that intestinal water, they slow your digestion and actually increase nutrient absorption. They also act in kind in maintaining satiety, that feeling of being full. At the same time, as they are absorbing that intestinal water, they can pick up impurities existing within that water, greatly enhancing the detoxification benefits of Deep Talk Plus. But most importantly, and something I always talk about in regards to Deep Talk Plus, is its capabilities as a microbiome mediator, with that direct connection to not only your disposition or to your brain, but otherwise to your skin health. Ensuring your gut is in proper balance is crucial. And so not only do we have this potent fiber source within Deep Talk Plus, we've also added zinc, we've added aloe as well, amongst a variety of other ingredients. What's important about Deep Talk Plus is it's not a sufficient source of fiber for your daily needs. I believe it's about 2 grams per packet. So still eat your fruits and veggies, still eat your legumes, probably my favorite word, but also this is fantastic to supplement in not only for gut regularity, but kind of that extra step towards maintaining your gut microbiome. What's also important about this product, this is actually my favorite product. I don't know why I haven't mentioned that, but it's important to experiment with this. The box says to take two a day, so once before breakfast, once after dinner. I found that based on already having a high fiber diet, it was most comfortable for me to take one at the end of the day, and that was perfect for regularity and otherwise stomach comfort. So feel free to explore at your leisure with this product, but again, just respect that it is more than just fiber. It's a microbiome mediator. Now, in transition, of course, we're still talking about supplements, but we're looking at a specific category of supplements, which of course are beauty supplements. So, beauty supplements are products that aim to essentially support the aesthetic look of your hair, your skin, or your nails. They're really meant to supplement your topical self-care routines. So, realistically, if you have a fantastic routine, 7 to 8 different steps, these are simply complements to that routine and just kind of filling in again gaps or deficiencies. So some common beauty supplements include biotin, collagen, fatty acids, fish oils, the list goes on. But again, it's in that specific respect of improving the aesthetic look of your hair, your skin, your nails, or otherwise beauty needs, so to speak. And so when we go to talk specifically now about the Beauty Collagen EX, we're of course looking at collagen supplementation as a beauty supplement. And the realm of beauty supplementation within collagen is large because there's so many different possibilities, not only in product form, but product source, intended need or intended effect on the body as well. So there are actually 28 different types of collagen in the body, but there are 5 that are most prevalent and most relevant for supplementation. Type 1 is the most robust or the most present in our body. So roughly 90% of all collagen stores are type 1 collagen. It makes up roughly 80 to 85% of your dermis alone. And so as you can see, it's found in your skin, tendons, ligaments, bones, teeth, and even between organs as connective tissue. We move to type 2, and that's predominantly located within your cartilage. Type 3 is also in your skin, it's also in your muscles and blood vessels, but this makes up roughly 10% of your extracellular matrix, so roughly 10% of your dermis. And then lastly, we finish with type 5 as being one of the most present forms of supplemented collagen. This is mainly found in your eyes, skin, and hair. It can also be found in the dermal epidermal junction. So that's that little space right here that connects your epidermis to your dermis. And so again, in our approach as initially a skincare brand, we wanted to focus on the collagen source that was most important within skin, which of course is type 1, being 90% relevant and prevalent. I keep saying relevant and prevalent back and forth. 90% of all collagen stores, roughly 80 to 85% of your dermis. And if you can remember, your dermis needs those structural proteins, that collagen and elastin, to look otherwise youthful and plump. When you go to look to the different sources of collagen that you can get, you can naturally get it from some specific foods like bone broth or fish skin. You can also consume foods rich in specific amino acids or necessary building blocks for collagen. And so I've listed a couple here. Proline, glycine, these are both amino acids and they're rich in a variety of different foods. Vitamin C is one of the mediators of the collagen synthesis pathway, so that's also crucial alongside zinc and copper as essential minerals. And this is all, again, in control in regards to your daily dietary consumption. But when we look towards supplementation, that is that specific form of collagen in this regard. And so when we look specifically at supplementing just the collagen, either in amino acid form or peptide form, and in the consideration of the 5 most relevant or 5 most readily supplemented collagens, you have a couple of different choices. And so there's bovine, there's chicken, there's marine, and there's vegan collagen. And each source is going to have a different concentration of specific types of collagen. For example, marine is most readily rich in type 1 collagen versus others such as bovine or chicken, especially depending on if it's taken from the cartilage of the bovine or chicken, can have type 2 or type 3. But with all of that in mind, there's also different forms of collagen. So beyond just what source it came from, you can get it in a powder or a premixed drink, even a pill. And so all of this comes into consideration when you're choosing a collagen supplement. With that in mind, I did want to note one of the sources specifically of vegan collagen. So there's actually no known source of vegan collagen, as the specific amino acid chain that forms collagen is not readily found within plant species. So otherwise you'll have collagen promoters, which are otherwise vegan molecules that perchance promote the production of collagen within the body, or you'll have vegan collagen that is actually fermented by yeast, or it's rather an ingredient that is formed via fermentation of bacteria or of yeast, which is totally fine as well, but that is just another consideration to take in. With all of that detail, one of the most important things is ensuring that collagen is absorbed. And so the easiest way to ensure it is absorbed is ensuring it's properly broken down first. Your collagen is in this extremely tight, wound shape you can see above here. And if you denature it, you get essentially gelatin. If you go one step further for degradation, you get those peptides. And that, of course, is our resting place with the Beauty Collagen EX. But if you further hydrolyze, that's when you break it down into amino acids, which themselves have profound benefits for the body and even in topical application on the skin. And so with all that in consideration, just to kind of identify where we lie, we of course are a premixed drink, we are marine derived, and they are peptides specifically. And so many of the benefits of collagen supplementation come, of course, based on the individual, but also based on the type and the source of collagen. So some of the benefits include hydrating the skin, improving elasticity, improving hair and nail growth, and even strengthening bones and muscles. And again, that is key to what type of collagen you are supplementing. In your appreciation of collagen, though, I always get the question of, I'm already applying the collagen melting sheet, for example, or the collagen melting mask. Do I still need to consume the collagen drink as well? And so when we consider that question, topical collagen treats a specific area, and more often than not, it's going to boost moisturization of the skin. As many of you may know, you cannot absorb collagen and then have it just immediately instill into your dermis and become, working functional collagen. Mainly that collagen you should appreciate as a protein. It's rich in amino acids, and those amino acids are going to have functionalities. But mainly in the terms of topical application, it's going to have a moisturizing effect to the skin. If you have a product like the Beauty Collagen sheet or mask, this of course not only has collagen peptides, but it has the nanofibers of collagen. And that's where it gets a little bit different, because those nanofibers of collagen are maintained in the collagen chain shape. And so that's where they have a little bit more robust in terms of a performance profile in really supporting the skin structurally. But in that consideration, that's still all topical collagen, versus oral collagen, or collagen that is consumed, is metabolized. And your body's going to determine how it is metabolized and what the collagen, what those amino acids are ultimately used for. And in that regard, there are a variety of different benefits. Sure, there's a support in skin health and in skin hydration, but there's also the potential for supporting joint health or eye health as well. So really, when we look towards the application versus the consumption of collagen, it is best to practice them synergistically, to continue on with your skincare routine, but also consume collagen to get the most profound benefits within those amino acids and within this perfect protein source. And so all of that in mind, when we come to appreciate the Beauty Collagen Ampule or Beauty Collagen EX, it is comprised of type 1 marine-derived collagen, and we specifically chose hydrolyzed peptides. Not only is this peptide chain readily bioavailable for easy absorption into the body, it is so at just 2 grams of supplementation. As such, this is actually the first collagen supplement to win the JR52 award since the award's creation in 1991. And so for those of you who are not familiar, the Jongyung-sil Award is Korea's essentially loftiest industrial award, and it did begin in 1991. It's currently sponsored by the Ministry of Science and Technology, and it's awarded weekly, and it's based within the variety in technological innovation. So to win the award, you not only are valued in technological importance, but it's also on originality, economic value, and technical spillover effect. So a lot of different considerations come in receiving this award, and this was the first specifically supplement to win the JR52 award. And what's also important to note, as I had mentioned, that at just 2 grams supplementation, that this specific peptide had benefit for the skin. And with many other different types of collagen and many other sources, you may need a lot more collagen to find results within your body. But specifically for this source and for this specific amino acid chain, Just 2 grams is enough for daily consumption. And with that oops, where am I going? So with that collagen, of course, we have a variety of other beneficial ingredients because the one thing with Remon is we're going to pack every ingredient we can into formulations for the most benefit. And so we also have hyaluronic acid, which is known rather clinically to impart skin hydration and even joint lubrication. We also have wheat ceramides, and this is an interesting ingredient. So ceramides are a natural component of our lipid barrier within the skin, and oral supplementation of ceramides has been suggested to reinforce barrier strength. That being said, of course, the name is wheat ceramides, and because of that, we have to list wheat as an allergen on Beauty Collagen EX. With that in mind, it's actually specifically the lipids taken from the wheat plant and are free from the allergen associated with gluten intolerances. But because we do take allergies and intolerances so seriously, I merely share this information to you, but otherwise invite those individuals to explore at their own discretion and with respect to their own allergies. Beyond the wheat ceramides, we have biotin, which can help in any deficiencies in terms of hair loss or brittle nails. And now more recently, I believe last year around September, we launched these included ingredients, selenium and glutathione for antioxidant care and giant young pool. So specifically with selenium and glutathione, glutathione is an antioxidant that is actually naturally produced by our bodies, but selenium is an essential mineral necessary for the synthesis of glutathione. So not only are we giving your body more glutathione, we're also giving it more tools to create and synthesize more should it need to. And then of course that giant young pool comes in for anti-inflammatory benefits, but also some hydrating aspects. It's a beautiful ingredient for consumption as it is for topical application. All right. So once again, I want to go through a little recap because this was kind of all over the place in regards to different supplementation, different systems within the body, and how to appreciate the Lifening supplements. And so we started off first with identifying our gut microbiome, which is a diverse grouping of bacteria, viruses, and fungi that naturally exist in our intestines and are directly affected by our daily diet, our daily exposures, etc. And so within the existence of our gut microbiome, we have two crucial connections within our body, that of the gut-brain axis and that of the gut-skin axis. Both of these are bidirectional connections between your gut microbiome and that of your skin or otherwise your brain. And it can directly reflect in not only your disposition but also in your skin health, especially if there is a dysbiosis or otherwise inflammation within either your skin or your intestines. So one of the greatest ways to maintain your gut health, via your microbiome is through the maintenance of a high fiber diet, and specifically prebiotic fiber provides the carbon source for the beneficial bacteria existing in our intestines. And so that fiber naturally exists in many of the foods we eat daily, but you can of course also consume it. And so many fibers are considered prebiotic in that they act as that carbon source for the beneficial bacteria. And some of the benefits of prebiotic fibers include not only gut regularity, but even maintaining that direct connection between your brain and your gut via the neurotransmitters. Furthermore, stimulating hormone production that aids in appetite suppression, improving the immune system, etc. And one important thing I wanted to note on this slide as well is that the Deep Talk Plus is solely a prebiotic. It is not a probiotic, which is a question I get asked. So probiotics are living microorganisms that you introduce into your intestines. And so we're not doing that with Deep Talk Plus. Instead, we're giving the microorganisms you already have just a little bit of food. And so with Deep Talk Plus, we prioritize psyllium husk as a soluble prebiotic fiber to not only regulate digestion and detoxification, but to maintain the balance of your gut microbiome as well. And that's for a holistic approach to self-care by looking at your internal processes and directly reflecting them in your external aesthetics. And then next we moved on, of course, to the Beauty Collagen EX by touching on beauty supplementation, which are realistically things you add to your daily diet or otherwise herbs and remedies to maintain specific aesthetic goals for your hair, skin, and nails. One of those types of beauty supplements are collagen supplements. And so we looked at it as probably the most common form of beauty supplementation. While there are 28 different types of collagen in the body, there are five that are most readily available for supplementation. And we look towards type 1 as the most important within your skin, specifically making up 90% of all collagen stores and roughly 80 to 85% of your dermis alone. While you can naturally get collagen from certain foods, or you can also get collagen promoters via vitamins and minerals that are also in certain foods, you can also supplement collagen directly. To do so, you of course have to consider the source of the collagen, if it's bovine or marine, the type of the collagen, and also the presentation of the collagen supplementation. Is it a powder? Is it an amino acid powder? Is it a peptide drink? There are many different possibilities, and we took all that into consideration in creating the Beauty Collagen EX ampule. Our specific ampule is a marine-derived type 1 collagen that has been hydrolyzed into low molecular weight peptides for ready absorption into the body. Alongside those peptides, we have hyaluronic acid, biotin, wheat ceramides, selenium and glutathione for antioxidant care, and giant young pool for anti-inflammation, all to truly balance your ultimate perception of your skin health, but starting from the inside out. Whew. And that is our discussion for today on Lifening Beauty from the Inside Out. So feel free to scan the QR code here. We are also dropping the link to it in the chat. And so I'll pause for just a little bit so that individuals can get that information. Right. All right, and reminder, if you can't grab it, you're trying to get your phone, you don't know where it is, it's stuck in the couch, or if you missed any from previous weeks, these are all uploaded on the drive under Product University. So I just want to remind you all one more time that we have a Q&A session coming in just a couple of, oops, let me just finish the whole session. We have a Q&A session coming in a couple of weeks. So I believe it's 2 weeks from now will be our Q&A session. Continue to send in your questions. If you had any questions from the content today, which I unfortunately can't see in the chat, send them to the Ritual at Remon email for answering during that session. It'd be well appreciated. But again, that'll be June 18th, and we ask that you send in your questions at least by June 11th so that I can collaborate with HQ on more higher level questions as well. But on that note, I appreciate you all, as always, for joining me now for session 5 of Product University. I cannot believe it's already June. I cannot believe it's already session 5. We only have a couple of sessions left, and I am so greatly looking forward to continuing this journey with you all. And so I did not put a slide in there, which was my bad, but next week is a fantastic discussion. We're going through a comparison of the dermatology core products and Radiance 100 core products. And this is something that I get asked so often because, of course, you want to start out with the line that's right for you, or you want to start an individual with a line that's right for them. So next week we are comparing dermatology. I always want to say EX, but it's not dermatology EX anymore. The dermatology line with the Radiance 100 products. But on that note, and for today, thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see you next Wednesday.